start, and then Allie's going to take over. in a little
Whichever
bit.
is
So we just wanted to start by first asking you if there was anything from last time that you remembered that you wanted to tell us, or anything that you...
I don't, well, last time, yes, last time we were in the concentration camps already, right?
Yeah, during the...
Well, I think I told you everything there. I told you about the two, right? I told you about the uprising that took place in Auschwitz. I did? Yeah. So, and I talked about the people who were caught and they were standing hanging. And I talked about the sicknesses that spread. And I think I covered everything.
Okay.
And if you have some questions later on, you can always call me if you feel free.
Okay.
Feel you know.
Well, we actually had a couple, just a few questions right
Okay.
now of things that were just kind of not so clear for us
Okay.
from last time.
Sure.
The first one is, remember how you told us that you got dressed up by that woman who took a liking to you in
Yes,
Auschwitz,
to take me to Auschwitz proper.
Yes, to go to the
Concert.
The concert. What was that like? I mean, were there a lot of inmates there, or was it mostly?
No, it was a lot of inmates too, but only the four ladies
Oh.
were taken, you know, the four ladies. And because I told you she took a liking to me, I don't know why, but she took me. But although it was only the four ladies, which is like a treat for them, you know.
So
It
did,
happened once in the whole 2 years, once at one time it happens that the four ladies were invited to go to Auschwitz proper. And there was no reason, you know, why they do that. They did it because that's how they wanted to, that's all. If any one of you saw Playing for Life with Vanessa Redgrave, the film, but this you have there too, so that she played the violin, it saved her life too. And there was no questions asked, you know, it's so hard to understand that things were done there on the whim of the assessment. So he wanted to do it, so he did it. I don't think I mentioned to you, there was also in Auschwitz proper, was a block where there were girls, we call them the dolls, for the pleasure of the German soldiers. It was forbidden to have sex with Jewish girls, yet they had the Jewish girls, those inmates, and the Germans had the satisfaction with sex. It was called the doll house, you know.
that must have been.
And again, I didn't know about it until after the liberation, when I met one of those girls, one girl that I met, and she was one of the dolls.
So, I mean, what was it, how did you, was it comfortable being there?
No,
in
they
the-
were
at
not,
the
but they
concert?
had no choice.
Oh, no, not I mean, you, when you went to the concert.
Oh, I was here, yes.
You
I was
felt that you were able
thrilled,
to-
I was thrilled,
Yeah.
you know, it's just taking away all your thoughts and you were among people who are musicians, and it was such a beautiful concert. So I felt very good about it,
Yeah.
very good, exceptionally good.
Yeah.
It was a break, you know, from the daily routine, which was not so happy, not so good. It was very nice. Why don't you?
Oh, I have one.
They're really delicious. Okay, great. I'm so glad to hear more about that.
Okay, dear, yeah. I forgot to mention it to you because I found out about it after the liberation.
Right. Also, I was wondering, I know you said that your sort of adopted father, the
Yes,
doctor,
the doctor.
that he was sneaking stuff to you under the fence, and then
Correct.
then you said the men got taken away,
Right.
and but that they weren't killed, they were just moved?
No, they were transported. Again, we took it for granted that they were killed.
Right.
But after the war, some of the men that were with my adopted father had survived, and he came to look for a girl that he liked from my hometown. And he told me that Dr. Adamovich was the name of that my so Dr. Adamovich and his son, which was my boyfriend at the time, said they were killed.
Oh, okay.
They took very, very sick, and they died in Mauthausen.
Could you tell me actually how to spell his name, Dr.
Adamovich,
Adamovich?
Yeah.
Adam, and is
O-W-I-T-E-S-H.
O-W-I-T-T-S.
But actually it wasn't spelled that way, but this is the English spelling, because it's C-Z is a ch in Polish. Excuse me, would you lend it to me? I'll just hold it together. Thank you. Hello? 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 Oh, it's a dummy. College.
Well, that part. Okay, the other thing is I was wondering, when you were in the Białystok ghetto, if you could, I have some maps from the ghetto, and I was wondering if you remembered what street your house was on,
Oh,
and
yes.
where things
Oh,
were, if
yes.
you could point them out.
I
to us.
remember it very well. As a matter of fact, when I was in Białystok in...
Uh-oh.
Somebody really wants me. I'm sorry. Hello? Hello? Liba, let me call you back. I'm a little busy right now. Thank you, dear.
So I have this one that's kind of small, hard to see. And then this one's bigger but kind of blurry. I was having difficulty finding a really good one.
Like Białystok.
I don't know, is that wrong?
That's the wrong spelling. It's Białystok, the city. That's supposed to be the city,
I think so.
and it's spelled that way. I think I spelled it for you.
And whoever made the map must have spelled it wrong.
This is how you spell it, see?
Yeah,
With a K at the end.
Białystok.
Yeah. Right.
yeah, that's how.
That's how I've been finding it mostly, but I don't know.
There's,
why.
I think, I've been finding two ways of spelling
This is
it.
supposed to be Białystok.
This is supposed to be the ghetto, I think.
Oh, the hero.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, let's see the
And so is
streets in
this,
here.
if this is better. This is
Foreigner, yeah, that's right. This was in the ghetto. Foreigner, I can see.
hard to read. I don't know if I can. Let me know if you need help reading.
Yes.
It's very small.
Can you read this one? Stoleczny, I got it. Stoleczna. Nowogródzka. Fine. It's not my neighborhood, but that was only the ghetto. Jurowiecka, yes. That was Ludzka. This is where I was. See Ludzka?
Yeah.
Can you see?
That was your street?
That was my street. It was in corner Ludzka and Nowy Świat. Can you find it there? Ludzka and Nowy Świat. Right here was my house.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
good. Now I can picture it.
And where did your brother live?
Well, he lived on,
He lived.
no, let's see. It might be here. He lived on Szlachecka. And this is where my brother lived. When he exchanged the homes with the non-Jew. So this is where he lived, Szlachecka.
And so this is where you had your bunker, and then the doctor's bunker, was it down the street from you?
Well,
or?
the doctor's bunker was on Polna. No, I just saw it here.
Maybe it's not this one.
You read building, yeah, that was on Kupiecka. That was the Judenrat was on this street. That's true.
Oh, that's good.
That was also next to me, Białystok. And when I came to Białystok in '87, I took my son there, and I met the streets where didn't exist, and I couldn't find anything, you know. So it was an elderly Polish man, and I approached him. The elderly man would know. I says, "What happened to Białystok? It was a very big street." He said, "I have no idea. There was never Białystok."
Oh,
It's just gone?
Hmm?
It's just gone now, or?
Then they changed the names.
Oh.
And everything was destroyed. I couldn't find my home. The first time I could. I showed you the picture. I think.
Yeah, you did.
So that was there.
but then when you went back, it had been rebuilt. So.
It was twice. The first time I went back, it was still there. The street still existed, and the synagogue on Nowy Świat also existed. You have your Nowy Świat here. There was a synagogue. They still existed. Oh, it was empty naturally, but it was existing. When I came the second time, '87, not a sign of it. Nothing. What I'm talking about? What will
The doctor's bunker?
Oh yeah, Częstochowska here. He was here, right here. Częstochowska. Yeah. Okay. And he was the market here between.
Yeah. Between the two.
Yeah.
And then after, when you surrendered yourselves at the doctor's bunker, then they took you to.
Polna.
Train up here, or?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, was
This
it up here?
this is already the tracks. This was Polesje. But they took us to Jurowiecka. He was the hospital, the Jewish hospital in ghetto. They took us because it was an empty place, and they concentrated all the people that had found after the 23rd. They concentrated them here. From here we were going to Polesje. There was already the tracks.
So when you went back, immediately after the war, was it your brother's house that you went back to?
No, I went back but immediately after the war, I went to see my house, which was here.
And
But it was all it was destroyed. It was, I mean, there was still rubble, right? Still rubble. So I was still there. And across the street from this, it was a narrow street. So let's say we were here, and right here was another family. They returned, and their house was there. And they told me that when they came back, which is a year before I came, my house still stood.
Oh.
Yeah, but then they broke in and took whatever they found, you know.
And so you stayed with Zena's family, is that what you had said?
I beg pardon?
You stayed, when you first came back, where did you stay then, with Zena's family,
I
right?
was in the house that belonged to my eldest brother.
Oh.
And that was outside of the ghetto, of course.
Right.
No, there was
Oh,
no
okay.
ghetto, but
Okay.
that was on Lipova. You still have it.
Maybe it's on here somewhere.
On the bigger map.
Oh, this is the ghetto.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is just the
so-
ghetto.
Marshal Pilsudski. That was the street that we always
Oh,
walked.
is it this one?
This one?
Lipova?
Lipova, that's right.
Ah.
Yeah. That was the street that when I came back, this is where I met my husband, in this street.
Oh.
Because he moved out, I told you, he moved in the house that belonged to my brother. And I came there and I said, but give me a room, so I got a room. It's interesting that they had it here.
Yeah, they have a bunch of old maps that you
Very
can
good,
find.
very good.
I thought it would help us
It was
visualize
the market, right?
everything.
It was the market, yeah. And when the first liquidation took place, you know, so a lot of people went here because there was a lot of trees on there, and they hid in there to avoid.
In the market area?
In the market area, right?
That was in 43.
It was in 43, yeah, in February of 43.
Where was the synagogue that they burned
Yeah,
the people
that
alive?
big, the great synagogue.
The Great Synagogue was not in ghetto.
Not inside the
No,
ghetto.
it was not in ghetto. The one that he burned, no, there was nothing ghetto. It was, what was called the street? Bożnica. Bożnica. Bożnica is a synagogue in Polish.
Oh.
So the gas
So
was
they
called
named this-
Bożnica. Let's see if I can find it. It was quite a walk from my place where I lived, you know.
This?
No, Brazilka.
Oh, Basilka.
I don't even know. I don't recall
What
that.
that is.
Not at all. You see, you have still Białostoczańska here. Białostoczańska, you see. And here they have Białostoczek, which didn't exist. That name didn't
They didn't
exist.
spell it that way. I don't know
Unless
who's
you wanted to
spelling
make it
that.
Białystok and became Białostoczek. Yeah.
Whoever made that map.
Skorupy, that was a non-Jewish section. No Jews lived there. In peaceful times. Yeah. Okay.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
That's so
I'm-
helpful.
I'm very impressed
Yeah.
that you really want to know those things.
Yeah,
Oh, no, we wanna know
definitely.
everything.
We want to know as
Yeah,
much as we can. I just want to be able to picture it. Now you make me want to go to Poland and try and find these places
I want
too.
to see
You
it,
won't
yeah.
find it. You
I
won't
know, it's
find
not the
it.
same.
You know, all of the synagogue was, there was less than that I was, there was big, a big market with stands closed in, you know. And as I said, I met this man, and I was there in this same neighborhood that I lived. It existed, I couldn't find it. Couldn't find any of those streets, you know. They rebuilt it and changed it from white to
Yeah.
black and black to white, you know. The Russians first, and then the Poles finished it. And then just like Soshinkiewicz, I told you about this, in peaceful times, this is where we met all the young people were going there. We called it the deptak, because deptak means to go slowly in Polish. So we were just walking there, meet people, meet boys, meet girls, you know, that was
That's nice.
the Sienkiewicz are very famous for that all the youngsters were meeting there.
I know this is very small. I'm sorry.
Rybny this was the market in peaceful times, so right here, Rybny. And when I was liberated and I moved into my husband's place and we got all engaged to get married, and I used to go shopping with my sister-in-law who lives next door, by the way. So both our men were brothers, and she was going shopping. She was there already almost a year before I came, because as I told you, Belgium was liberated so much earlier. And we went shopping. My husband's, not husband at the time, was a fiancé, said to her, give her anything she wants. I can mention it to you, so let's put some delicatessens from the Rene, which was here, to the place where we lived on Lipova, I told you, was maybe a mile. So whatever she bought in Delhi, I ate up. But that also passed, it passed. I told you, a friend of my husband did recognize me when I stayed next to him. It passed, but at first I told you when I went to get the job, they said, hi, you're pregnant. I didn't tell you that.
Yes.
No, I'm not pregnant.
What an awful thing to say. Oh, thank you so much for that.
Okay,
Bluma.
good.
Okay,
This is your
so
pen,
now
I
we'll
think.
switch. Great.
Can we go back
Was
to
that all the
the
questions?
Jeff? Was that all the questions?
Yeah, that was all I
Alright.
had, unless you guys have anything else that was true.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move this. Is there anything special I have to know? When does it tell me that it's done? Like
You'll see
getting close to
the
the end?
time run out, and it will start flashing. It'll give you like a 5-minute warning.
Like where it says 44 minutes?
Mhm.
That's how much is left?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm doing after hour, but I was wondering if you could start with the day you left Auschwitz.
Auschwitz,
Yes.
okay. That was the 18th of January 1945. As I told you, they announced that Auschwitz was to be liquidated. Whoever wants to remain may do so, and whoever does will deeper into Germany can do that too. So the rumors, of course, went around that Auschwitz will be destroyed because they didn't want to leave anything that could show what had happened there. So whoever really could still go on their 2 feet joined that march, which became the Death March, where 60% of the people perished. And we were walking, very simple, we were walking, and actually with assessment accompanying us. I wonder how they made it, maybe they changed, I don't know, there were so many people who could tell. And they were very poorly dressed, and it was January, it was very, very cold. And sometimes right after the war we had, the Germans didn't know that anything like it happened yet. When we were walking, we went to railroad stations, right? And they saw their civilian people. Some of them even threw something to us, like a piece of bread or an apple, anything at all. And then they claimed they didn't know. Okay, so we were loaded, at one point we were loaded on open cattle cars. And there was snow already in the cattle cars, it was snowing. And for a short stretch of the road, we were in the cars, in the trains. And then we went down again and had to walk. And as I told you, 60% of the people perished, which probably, we found that out later naturally. Why? Because people couldn't keep up with the walk, so they were killed. If they had to go for their physiological needs on the site, they were killed. This is what happened. People just died from the walk itself. It was winter time, and going down south to Germany, it was still winter and snowing, and we were very, very poorly dressed, and not much food in us to keep us warm, so people just died while walking without being shot even. And we came to the first place where we rested, was called Gross Rosen. Did I mention it already? Well, so it doesn't matter. Mention it again. Gross Rosen was the first one. Then we just collapsed. Whoever could we just went down. And then they gave us some bread to take, a piece of bread, and we were so tired and disgusted with everything that we didn't even have the feelings of taking that piece of bread. Just let us rest. So anyway, there too was a selection for people who would remain in Gross Rosen. It was also a concentration camp. And some would go deeper into Germany. I became one that was deeper into Germany, and we came to Ravensbrück. And I think I told you about Ravensbrück. You want me to repeat it?
That would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we came to Ravensbrück. It was just an annihilation camp, just like Auschwitz. They had the gas chambers and had crematoria. But when we came to Ravensbrück, there were already inmates from different camps, also from the east, that came down deeper into Germany. So now the bunks that I described before, the 2-story bunks, they have only one person, 2 and 3 to a bunk. I told you the story about my shoes. You want me to repeat it?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
It's good to
So-
have everything
Okay,
chronological.
So there, of course, I had those precious shoes. It was so much on our feet. What shall I do with them? Where shall I hide them? That nobody will steal it from me, you know. So I figured I put it as a pillow on my head. Somebody will try to get it. I'll wake up. However, I probably was so exhausted and I didn't feel. I got up in the morning and my shoes were gone. But they left me with a pair of shoes that were too small for my foot, or 3/4 of it. About 5/8 went into this shoe. So the inmates tell me that there is a SS lady who's giving out the wooden Holland shoes, you know, the wooden shoes. And to get there, I'll get a shoe that will fit me. So I went there, not knowing that in order to get the shoes, you had to come barefooted. And I supposedly had shoes. So what I got is a slapped my face and kicked me and says, "You have shoes, this is what you have." Finished. There we really just did nothing. We were there for a very short time. There weren't any selections, there wasn't any food, and there wasn't any walk. So we stayed there for a short time. I really don't know what's the count of time. And then again, the front evidently was coming closer. They wanted us deeper into Germany. So the Germans had the attitude, you know, that they wanted to be liberated by the Allies, not by the Russian army. Because the Russian army showed no mercy. Women, children, they showed no mercy. As a matter of fact, we found out later that Stalin at the time announced that for 3 days they can do anything they want with the Germans. And they did. They did some horrible things for 3 days, and then they should respect them, you know. But the army, you know, soldiers, they did. Anyway, so I came under a group that was going deeper into Germany, which was Malchow. We came to Malchow, Malchow. And it wasn't a camp, it was little bungalows, like maybe as big as this kitchen, you know, 25 girls to a bungalow on the floor. And again, the same equipment that we had in the other barracks, straw in a blanket. And here, literally, we sit there and just waited for death to liberate us. There was no food and no walk and nothing else. We just sat there. We were reminiscing about talking about the food that we have home, made us more hungry, you know. And there was, evidently, once upon a time, we thought there were stables for horses, and they had some oats or something that remained in those stables. So when and we pretended to make salads from the grass, cut up little pieces of grass, and pretending we make a salad from the bread, because we did get our bread, you know, in the soup, if you can call it so. And there people were dying too from hunger, from exhaustion, until May 1st. May 1st, a group of inmates from camps that were going also west came and said, what are you sitting around? I told you about the girl that we found that was pregnant in Malchow. I told you about it, but I have to repeat that. So they said, what are you sitting around? Look around, the SS ladies left already. The only left was Hungarian soldiers who probably have no ammunition in their guns because Germany didn't trust the Vita. Let's break into the warehouses and see what they have sent. The Swedish and Swiss Red Cross had sent some food for the inmates. Of course, we never got it. So some people still have the strength to do it, you know, and indeed they found a lot of food, and fortunately many of them started to eat without control and just died from overeating. And then a day later, or 2 days later, the soldiers came and said, "We'll go deeper into Germany and we'll be liberated by the Allies." So again, we marched deeper into Germany. And we could have stayed actually, but somehow we went. We just had no will of our own, I presume, at that point. And there on the road already with some broken up cars and buggies and furniture for German refugees who were coming from the east, also escaping the Russians. And at one point, okay, we came to a forest. There were 10 girls that we kept together. And at one point we saw some ditches. The peasants were preparing the potatoes for the following season. So we just like lotuses, we threw ourselves on those ditches and with the hand dug out those potatoes and ate their own potatoes. And I came back to the forest and there was no guards anymore. No soldiers, nobody, just ourselves. So the 10 girls that we kept together, we decided that we'll stay in the forest and tomorrow we'll see where we are. You know, we didn't know what to do because up to then everybody told us what to do and when to do. Suddenly we were on our own. So we stayed there overnight and in the morning we went out and we walked a little, not far off, there was a little village called Goldenberg. And there we went by a barn and we opened up the barn, we went to the door, they opened up and already there we saw the French soldiers who were on the way home from the camps, liberated. And they told us to go, come on in, you'll see in a day or two the Russians will come and we'll liberate, which it happened. Indeed it happened. We were liberated. And when the Russians came, of course, when they saw us, Jewish girls survived, they couldn't believe it. So they, of course, they accused us of collaborating with the Germans. And here my Russian helped, and I said to him, just look at us, do we look like collaborators? Just bones covered with skin, that's all, there was no flesh on us. Somehow he believed me, and he says, okay, you can go into the house. Of course, there was the owner of the farm, and just as you could not see a German man, only the women remained, you know, all those, the Germans were all in the armies or whatever. And she was very happy to accommodate us rather than the soldiers. And she says, she gave us some clothes, and I took off my dress, my very famous dress, that, not exaggerated, it walked on its own. It was so full of lice, you know. And you see, it was meant for me to survive. All those things that I'm telling you, I didn't do anything to help myself, and yet I survived. So you have to believe in destiny.
Yeah.
So this is what it, so we washed ourselves with cold water, it didn't matter anymore. There was already April by the time we got there. And gave us some food, whatever she had, she didn't have much herself. And the captain said to us, you go, there's a little bungalow, you go in there, lock yourself in, because you know, the soldiers don't know the difference. They see women, front soldiers, women, what do they care? So we put a big sign, typhus, to keep them out, you know, the men, the soldiers. And we succeeded, they were ducking in the door, they didn't let me in. And the more the captain said to us, why don't you go into the bigger town? It's not as safe here, because it was a little village, you know. So we did go to town, and again, no men, just women. And the girls, the 10 of us kept together, and they decided they had to go and get some clothes and some food. So the German hostess would make it for us. She didn't have much herself. So we went, and I was the one who spoke German, so I apologized when I came to the house. I said, you stay home, you're not going with us anymore. I apologized to the Germans that you come for food, stay, we'll bring it. And that was the one time I went, that's all. The girls couldn't tolerate that I'm so nice to them, you know. I didn't know any other way. So it was called, they organized some food and some clothes wherever they went, and we got it, they brought it, and we all shared everything we had. And then the Russians opened up soup kitchens without any control. We could eat as much as we want or whatever they want in the soup kitchens. The Allies controlled it. They didn't let you eat. So that again, we found it out after the war. They didn't let you eat anything you see. You see, they controlled it and went to the hospitals. No, the Russians, they say it's open, you can have anything you want. And they said to us, well, now that you're liberated, we'll take you to the Soviet Union, you'll become Soviet citizens, and you'll be working on the government's farms. Well, we know already what communism means. We had it for 2 years. And we said, no, thank you, we'll do it on our own, which we are free to do. As we crossed the rails again, we came to the biggest city, was called Neubrandenburg. And then again, we went out to the house, was just the lady of the house, no man. And she was happy to accommodate rather us. But it was, we wanted to go back to Poland. I had the only hope that I had of my family was my brother who was sent to Siberia. Remember I told you about that. And the other girls just, maybe somebody survived. I'm sure that they didn't think that we survived, so maybe somebody else survived as well from the family. So we went to just talking among ourselves in the streets, talking about it, we would like to go. And 2 uniformed Russian soldiers stopped us, and we were speaking Jewish, and they said they identified themselves as Jews in the Russian army. What can we do for you? So the first thing, of course, was food. And they organized some food, you know, and I told you, I think you had a whole lamb and 10 pounds potatoes and 10 pounds bread you consumed in one sitting. And thank God we did it, you know. But I mentioned it before that one of the girls we left behind, yet in the little Goldenberg, one of our homemade girls, but we were 4 from my hometown, and now in New Brandenburg we were only 3, because this one passed away from overeating, she had tuberculosis, whatever. In any way, this is what it was. And and then after they brought us some food and clothing, didn't even gave us some money, Polish money, because Poland was, Białystok was liberated a year before, you know, August of 1944. And they said, after a while, they brought us food and brought us the clothing and even the money. I have a little scissors that one of the soldiers gave me, a little scissor. I still have it. So many years, I still have it. I'll show it to you later. And as they said, after a while, they said there's a train going to the Soviet Union via Białystok. You'll stay there for a few days. You can come and go down. If you don't find anybody, you'd rather go to the Soviet Union, you can still take the same train because you'll be waiting there for a few days. So we were very happy to hear that, and we went. Now the journey normally would cost 24 hours. It took us 3 weeks to go to Białystok with stops, and it wasn't the rails weren't available for speeding, I suppose. In any event, we came there. We came there to Białystok because the train stopped, and we went out, and we had already something with us. You know, the soldiers gave us some clothing and food, so we had some packages. So there was a horse and buggy standing, so we hired him without money, naturally, but we asked him to take us to town. And he did. He took us to town, and Białystok already was organized, being liberated a year before, and there was a Jewish committee, and a lot of people came from camps and from hiding, came from the partisans that were survived and came back to town. Also with a hope that probably family. Here I started to look around, and I found a neighbor of ours. They were in the partisans, so I asked her, maybe my brother was here, maybe he returned. She says, as a matter of fact, he was one of the liberators. And of course, he asked about the family, found nobody. So he could have changed. He could have become a civilian, take his military clothes, and the Jews would give him civilian clothes, but he didn't. And would he have known that somebody of the family survived? Maybe he would have, but being he found nobody and no hope, so he decided to go on with the army. And later on, I found through the Red Cross in Moscow that he was killed on the front, fighting the Germans. So now I'm in Białystok, liberated. And any more questions about this period?
I just wanted to know, during this whole process, traveling to camp and things like that, when did you hear anything about the war or any political things?
Well, we assumed, because why did we go back from Auschwitz? Why did they want us to go deeper into Germany?
Mm-hmm.
So we assumed that the war is about to end, because they didn't want us to stay there where we were. They wanted to take us deeper and deeper into Germany. And then from time to time an assessment would reveal that they wanted to go to meet the Allies, not the Soviet army. So we assumed that the war is about to end, but they could end us before the war would end, you know. So we assumed things. Here and there you had some voices, some news, here and there, you know. Of course, we didn't know, for instance, that there was a Polish division where my brother was in, that was organized in the Soviet Union, from the Jews that were sent off to Siberia during the Russian occupation of our part of town. And there was a Polish division from Poles that were Jews and Poles that were sent off to Siberia. And this is where my brother was. That I found out later, of course, we didn't know that. And as a matter of fact, I think I mentioned that just last month, I got a letter from Sweden. Did I mention it to you?
Yeah.
I got a letter from Sweden, whose father was also sent to Siberia. And he tells me that when his father was liberated and came back to Białystok, told him that he was in the same camp that my brother was. And I corresponded with him already years. I says, how come you didn't tell me before? Well, his answer was that we were already left when his father came. We were already out of Galveston Road. I don't know where to the United States. But anyway, it would make much difference. But I would like to talk to him and hear something about it. So that was it. So we didn't really know what was politics or anything, but we did sense that the war is about to end because they kept us pushing deeper and deeper into Germany. So we know that the Russian front is coming closer and closer. And when we were from Malchow, where we were marching, I told you already had artillery fire, planes overhead. So we know the front is very close.
Did you hear anything about the United States?
No,
No.
no, we didn't. We did not know about anything that the United States is at war. We did not know until we were liberated. Liberated, so we found that out. And then when we came to Bialystok already, and going forward, is it okay?
Yeah.
So we decided, there was the Russians occupied at the time Poland, and we, of course, we didn't want to stay with the Russians, so we decided to leave Poland. Nothing was there for us to stay, so to go to Germany, and they said from Germany you could go to America or to Italy or to wherever, you know. And no, Palestine was no Israel yet in 1945. So we decided to leave Poland, and it was all illegal. It wasn't legal. Leaving Poland was not legal. So we went through Czechoslovakia, at the time Czechoslovakia, to Prague, and from Prague we went to Austria, to Vienna. And there was a hotel that all those refugees were brought to, and they called it a hotel of poverty and lies. So many of them, you know. So some people remained in Vienna and some went deeper into Austria. So we came to another camp. It was camp too, it was called Camp Wels, W-E-L-S. There was an army camp, and it was blacks. It was also blacks of single rooms for families, single rooms. We had 2 rooms because we had 2 families, my brother and my sister-in-law with the baby, and myself and my husband. So we had 2 rooms. It was in a barrack, also big barracks. It was an army camp at one time, so they converted it for us. It was a DP camp, displaced persons camp. And that was also on the auspices of the United States, the UNRWA. And they sent us food, and they sent us clothing, and we felt free, actually, there. We could do anything we wanted to. And we had a contact with the German population, the Austrian population, and we were receiving packages of food. And the thing that we had received was tuna fish. We never heard of tuna fish. We never had tuna fish comes in cans. We thought it was cat food or dog food. So we exchanged that, yes. We exchanged that with the German population for food that we knew about, or even clothing. Or if you wanted to, we got clothing too. America sent us clothing too. So if you had a lot of clothes and didn't fit, so you exchanged the clothing to the Germans for some food they would give us. Or you wanted, for instance, I wanted a dress. So from 2 dresses I wanted to make 1. So I went to a German seamstress, and I paid her with the food that we had gotten, the packages like tuna fish, you know, and crackers, things that we never heard of, you know. We got all those baked beans, you know, things like that. But the funniest part was tuna fish, such a good item, and we took it for like dog food, you know. It didn't take long, we got used to that too. And of course they opened up a PX, called it also like a PX army, but the Americans provided with some food there too. Because we were getting rations, different kinds of food we were getting there, and clothing. To the winter came, we got winter clothes. And my husband was in charge of it. So really I got a little more. My sister-in-law got also a little more than anybody else. It's a normal thing. And here there was a Hungarian who was the translator for the American captain. He was a general of American who was in charge of that camp. So we decided, a group of us, were six girls, we were that we want to learn the language. There's nothing else to do, you know, in camp. We walked actually. You had a place where you learned how to sew. You had a place where you learned a language. There were places where the men worked as carpenters, as plumbers, you know, because that's what we had no other interest there, just to learn some kind of an occupation. So we decided we'll take some English lessons. Being he was a Hungarian, but he knew English, as I thought he worked as a translator. So he organized a group. So about 10 girls, they started to learn English. By time, about maybe it took 6 weeks or 8 weeks, and there came a proclamation that whoever wants to go to America or to Palestine or to Italy should register and will be taken there. But you had to have somebody that is related to you in order to have it was called a visa, guarantee that you will not be depending on the government. That they will see that you have work or food or whatever, that they'll vouch for you, that you will not be a burden to the government. I remembered one address of my relatives that were in Argentina, and I wrote to them. And they wanted me to come to Argentina, but my husband wanted to go to the United States. You know, the United States in Europe was something special. And he had an aunt here. And my sister also had an aunt here, but I was so reluctant. I said, I have nobody in the United States. So they wrote to me from Argentina that yes, you do. You have an uncle in Palestine, which I did remember. That in 1936 he left Poland to Palestine. He was a Zionist. He left Poland, and of course I didn't know his address. And they gave me the address, and I wrote to him. And I wrote, he sent me a certificate. It was like a passport that could come to Palestine. However, by the time it came, I changed my name. I was married. So it wasn't my maiden name, so I couldn't use it. And anyway, my husband didn't want to go to Palestine at the time. He wanted to go to the United States. So I wrote to my uncle, I appreciate everything, but I'll probably land in the United States. And I don't have anybody, I feel very bad about it. Do you have anybody? He says, yes, you do, you have an aunt, which I never knew of. She lives in New York. Why did I know of her? Because her name was never mentioned in the house. Because she was one of those revolutionaries in 1905. The first revolution took place in Russia. She was participating in it. And you know, coming from a very Orthodox family, Jewish family, it was not becoming to have a communist family, you know. So they sent her off to America, and her name was never mentioned, like she didn't exist, you know. That's how I didn't know, but my uncle knew. And he wrote me about it, sent me her address, and we did land in the United States. We came also in August. Everything happened in August. In August we came to the United States.
August 1946?
1949.
Oh.
From 46 to 49 we were in the DP camps. And in 49 we came to the United States. Of course my husband turned out had cousins and aunts, they all came to the port, and we landed with them. And then I started to wanted to contact my aunt and uncle, her husband. And they came. It was very good to have somebody, you know. And so that was that. And so I wasn't alone anymore. I also had an aunt, you know, like everybody else. What do you do in America now? Now in the United States. So what do you do? No language, no special occupation. What shall we do? There was a trend at that time that many refugees that came from the camps bought chicken farms. Because chickens, you know, they understand anything or nothing, so it doesn't matter whether they know the language or not. And it was funny because my family, so my sister and my brother, assumed that I know the language because I took courses. For 6 or 8 weeks I took English by a Hungarian teacher who told me the Queen's language, the Queen's English. So when I spoke to the cousins that came here to see us, the Americans, I understood what they were saying. They did not understand the word I was saying. They couldn't understand me. Even the pronunciation and everything else, couldn't understand. Anyway, it meant that I know English. In any event, so what do we do? So we also buy a chicken farm. So 4 families, we bought a chicken farm in Lakewood, New Jersey. And we had some chickens, and we had corn was growing there, and we also had a cow. And I learned how, my sister-in-law had a baby, and the other family also had children. I had none. So it was my I was supposed to milk the cow. The farmers were very, very helpful around us. You know, we didn't have a car. To go to Lakewood, you had to have a car to go shopping. So there was always a farmer that comes, you need something. And I was going because I knew English, you understand. I think I told you the incident about the toilet paper. Did I tell you that? Oh no? Okay. So I went with them shopping in Lakewood proper. And we needed toilet paper, which was not in use in Europe at all. So I saw the big towel papers. I said, why should I buy a little one? Or buy a big one? And I did. I bought a big towel paper and used it for toilet paper. Then our cousins came from Passaic, New Jersey to visit us. I said, well, where's your toilet paper? I said, what do you mean, can't you see? It's a big Then I explained that this is not toilet paper. Things like that happen every day, you know, we didn't know. So we were, and this I said, so who's going to milk the cow? The cow has to be milked. They have children, they are busy with the children. They were making butter out of the milk, and children, and cooking. And I was sort of single-like, you know, because I didn't have a child. So, okay, I was candling the eggs. I like that, to candle the eggs, the different sizes. I learned that. As in, build the cow. So, brought the cow, put a pail and a little stool under the cow, and I was trying to build the cow. My pail did get full with my trees, and then a drop of milk came out. Because I never saw a live cow. Not even touch it, but I never saw one. I come from a city, I never saw a cow. And I was crying bitterly, and I said to my husband, you know what, we should move to town. We are not farmers, we don't know anything about farming, we should move. He had a friend here who came here in 1947 from Germany, also a survivor. He was in hiding, and with his family. And he had family in Baltimore, and they opened up a grocery store for them, you know, on Lucille Avenue, if you know where it is. And off Reisterson Road. And we were corresponding with them. And he said to my husband at the time, he wrote her, come to Baltimore, you'll also buy a grocery store, and you really don't have to know the language. The customers will point out what they need, and you'll be able to do it. And then, but I do English, so I was very happy about it. I'll be able to converse with the customers. And we decided, so the other two partners, also two brothers, paid us out, and we came to Baltimore.
What year was that?
1949, the end of 1949. Yes, it was in 1950, in February of 1950, we bought already a grocery store, together with those two friends from my husband's hometown that were here from before the altered grocery. So yeah, we were four partners, but we bought a grocery store. And it was a kosher food market. Okay, and who is going to build? I have no children, I'm going to work in the store. And I know English, so I work in the store. And you know, it's funny, the things. I learned many languages by songs. I remember the songs, you know, so I learned by songs, I picked up words. And here, Cheerios. I heard the song Dario. Oh, the Darios, Cheerios was similar. And was a lot of delivery that store had. So on the phone, I talked on the phone. And I always said, how was some Cheerios? It was the only word that I could really pronounce, you know. And slowly but slowly I learned. The people that sold us the store stayed with us till after Passover. Because for Passover, you change the products in the store. And as I said, it was a kosher market, so of course we had to change products. So it was new, everything was new. So the lady that sold us the store, also for her it was also new, the products. So both together we learned the names of the products, because as I said, it was delivered most of the time. Had to talk on the phone and take the orders and pick up. So slowly I learned, you know. I knew already five languages, so English came easy to me. I never went to school, but I picked it up, and my customers were very, very friendly, very nice. If I pronounced something bad, they would correct me, or I had to write out a bill. If I write it wrong, they would correct me. So I learned an awful lot from my customers, and we remained friends up till today, friends. And this is how it started, you know. That was 1949, and into 1950. In 1950, I became pregnant, and in August again, my son was born. And we bought a little house. We rented first when we came to Baltimore. The friends that brought us over here rented an apartment for us over the second floor. There were 5 people, 4 adults and 1 baby, in 2 rooms and a kitchen. So we had to eat on you know, not, we couldn't eat together. We had to eat separately because the kitchen was small in an apartment. And then when I became pregnant, the landlord downstairs says, you cannot move here because you'll have another baby. You cannot move, you cannot stay here. So really, we had to buy another house. So we took out a mortgage, you know the story, and we lived on Lindview Avenue, 5406 Lindview Avenue. You know what Lindview Avenue is? Are you familiar with Northern Parkway?
Yeah.
Are you Baltimoreans?
No.
I know Northern Parkway.
You know, off Northern Parkway is Lindview Avenue. And we bought in a row house. Also, the 2 families of ours. My sister had a little boy already, and I became pregnant with her. So I walked in the store to the last minute. I knew nothing about it. If you become pregnant, the water will break and you have to go to the hospital. So my water broke in the store. And one of the customers says, you better go home because you might deliver the baby right here in the store. So that was Monday night. I remember I came home and the water broke, and I stayed home till Tuesday. And then the butcher who had sold us the store took us to the hospital. And it was a Monday. On Monday night I went to the hospital. My son was born on a Wednesday. I had a very bad delivery. But I kept on screaming. You told me that in America they don't let you suffer, they give you something. Why should I suffer so much? And he was a bridge baby, that's why I suffered so long, you know.
Bridge
But
baby?
A bridge baby he was.
What does that mean?
He went feet first.
Oh.
Usually a baby goes head first. He went feet first. And we wanted to turn it around, but anyway, I suffered 36 hours, and I said, oh, it wasn't so bad after all. I came yesterday, and here's the baby. He said, my husband, you lost today. You lost today. Anyway, so this is what it was. So we lived in the little house, the little row house, all of us, and my sister got pregnant again. She had another baby. So we were already 5 people, 3 children, and 4 adults, 7 people in that house. Our dining room was down in the cellar. It was a row house, you know. Are you familiar with the neighborhood, you see? Mm-hmm. So that's the row houses. So that we made the dining room downstairs, and slowly we succeeded in the store. And we bought it in 1949, the end of 1950 actually. And in 1957 we sold the store. So I, my brother-in-law, and myself walked in the store. My sister-in-law kept house. We all lived together. In 1957 we sold the store and bought those 2 houses. And you know how much it was at the time? You wouldn't believe it. $20,000 was a house. Anyway, so that was that. And I still worked in the store. I registered my son into a community academy, which is a religious school. And because he was there a whole day, and I was working in the store, it was handy for me. You see, she had 2 children already at the time. So and yet walking in the store, I still went once a week to serve lunch in school. Why? I wanted to see if my son is eating. So in 1955, he was 5 years old, we bought those 2 houses. I was still working in the store. In 1957, we sold the store. And we bought another store in Bloomingdale Road. Are you familiar with that? No, neither was I. So Bloomingdale Road, it's a black neighborhood, and it was a supermarket. And I still walked there. But after a while, I just didn't walk regularly every single day, but it was a shortage in a cashier or something, so I went to the store. And I became active in some organizations from then on. In 1957, I joined some Zionist organizations, the Jewish Family Services, And I tried to pay back what America did to me, you know, which I still do. And that's how it went. My son was in school, of course, and then in 1951, I forget to tell you, I learned how to drive, and I had a car. And we had a big Hudson. We used to joke about it, that the Hudson is very good because sometimes it runs on water, not on gasoline. And so that was the first car we bought in 1951. It was 1951, yes, we bought that big Hudson. Big car. You don't even remember it, but before your times. And I learned to drive, yes, and I became independent with, as far as that goes. And as I said, after we bought Bloomingdale, we bought another store, so my husband was in one store, my brother in another store. From time to time, there was a shortage in workers, I would go and help out. But most of the time, I was home, and I was very active in school, serving lunch, and at the organizations that I mentioned. And that went on. So we already did trips, you know, went on vacation. There was a shore here, Bay Shore, we went to Bay Shore. Have you heard of Bay Shore? No, of course. Oh, before your time, I was too young. Anyway, Bay Shore, and then we went to Atlantic City. When the holidays came along and the store was closed, the kosher store. So we went to Atlantic City, and we became Americanized, what can I tell you? And my son was a good student, so he skipped 2 grades, and he quit the religious school, and he went to City College. And to City College, he was a very good student there too. And you know who was in his class? Remember the mayor, the black mayor we had, the first black mayor?
What was his name?
What was his name? Oh,
I don't know.
that you don't know, and I don't know, it's okay, but you should know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a very,
Oh man.
yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know it, so it'll come to you. So he was in his class. What was his name down to him? Anyhow, so I was
I'll look it up.
was just announcing about him in the papers too.
We
So-
need to switch the tapes.
Yeah, we have 4 minutes.
Okay, so we are here already.
Yeah.
That's it. So, yeah, and then he finished early, and I told you at the time he stopped smoking. He was a smoker, stopped smoking at the time, and he went to college. He went to George Washington, and he graduated, and then he went to dentistry school. And you know, when he went for an interview, they asked him, he graduated with 4.0. So they, with your graduation, why don't you want to be a physician? So he says, because I want to have a family, and I don't want to be called at night. So he made it, and now he's practicing dentistry still in York, PA, and he made up for what I didn't. He was very close with his cousins, he still is. He has 4 children. I showed him all the 4 grandchildren of mine, and that's it. And
Switch them.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, so
Press stop.
Okay.
where's
Press the red
where's
button.
stop?
It's the recording button that you press again.
The red one.
Well, I didn't press it originally. Oh, this one, yeah.
everything tastes good.
Okay, so I just want to know the instant that you realized you were finally free. Like, what was there a certain situation? Was it right after the war? Was it 20 years after the war?
No. It was right away. When the Soviet soldiers, the Russian soldiers, told us that we can do whatever we want. You want to stay here, fine. You want to go to Russia, it's fine. You want to go to Belarus, it's fine. We knew we were free. We could make up our own mind where we want to go. Well, it was a sad, very sad time at the time because we lost one of our girls from our hometown. But this is when we realized that we really are free. We can do whatever we want. We can stay, we can go. You know, that was our choice. We were not made to do it. That was the first minute that we realized we are really free.
So, for you, where was God during all of this? Like,
I never questioned. You know, in Jewish religion, we believe that God is up there. The earth was given to the people. And people have a choice. We say we have two angels. One is on your left side, one is on your right side. One tells you be good, other one tells you be mean. If you choose the good one, then it's up to you. You choose the mean one, again it's up to you. You have the choice. God doesn't choose it for you. You choose it. So I never blamed God for it. I blame the people, not God.
So did you have any hatred towards the Germans?
I am a very lucky person. I don't live with hatred. And maybe in a great measure, I describe it to Mr. Busse, that I mentioned, you know already who he is. That he was a German, a member of the Nazi Party, and he risked his life, divorced his wife, who left him with his son in order to save two Jewish girls. And then after the war, there were many, not too many, but there were many. And then another thing, my husband, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and another woman were saved by a Polish family. Again, who risked his life, the life of his family, everything that he belonged to him, he risked in order to save those people. For 2 years he kept them. So how can you hate everybody? I was always a witness several times for Germans who were deported from that. Yes, I want them to pay for the deeds that they done. I want them brought to justice, but I cannot hate everybody. I cannot hate the children of the men who were SS people, you know. They are not responsible for it. And if they were indoctrinated, in a way I can understand that, because the situation after the First World War in Germany was very, very bleak. First of all, they lost the war. Secondly, the Versailles contract had taken away so much land from Germany. The economy was very, very bad. And somebody had to be blamed. Who better than the Jews? So they were indoctrinated in that case. Of course, it's very easy to say they could fight back. Some did, but the majority did not. Because no matter how altruistic we are still egoists. We still think about our well-being. So, but I'm a lucky person in that respect. I have no hate. I came to the conclusion, you know, if you hate, it destroys you. And this is usually when I speak to children in the classes, I tell them, erase that word hate from your dictionary. You don't have to love each other. But if you try to understand, you'll see you have so much more in common than things that separate you. And this is my motto that I say to my grandchildren as well. You can't live with hate because it destroys you. If you constantly hate, you see bad things in people, it destroys you much faster and more deeply so than the one that you hate. So in that respect, I'm a lucky person, you know, because I see survivors that we meet when we talk, you know, and she can't hear this. And I feel pity for her, because she lives with it constantly, with the hate.
So, why did you wanna, okay, sorry. So was it hard for you to trust other people after this?
No,
No, you just,
no, it's not. Because I believe that majority of people are good. I do believe it, because I told you the German, the Busse that helped me. There were the people later on, the Russians that helped us. And I mean, I really never, no, I never found anybody not to trust, you know. Maybe I trust too much. It's also true, probably. I'm optimist, a cocky optimist. I always see the bright side, not the black side. And this is how I live. I mean, it helped me a lot in my life, you know.
so getting married and having children, what did that mean for you? Why did you want to get married, and why did you want to have children?
But they want.
Why did you want to get married and?
Oh, I wanted to build a family. I had nobody. I had 5 siblings who were all married and had children of their own, and suddenly I was all by myself. I wanted to build a family. And in order to produce Jews, 6 million perished. So if the survivors will not have children, then Jews are gone. So I wanted very much.
So what would you, do you have any advice for people our age? Like, do you have any advice for us?
I just told you, don't hate.
Tell me.
That's the most important thing.
Okay.
And yes, again I say you don't have to love each other. I mean, it's impossible yet. But try to understand. And you'll find that there's no use hating. It's a terrible thing if you don't like them. As I said, you don't have to be friends with everybody, but you can be a nice person to everybody.
And,
And you know, when you are friendly, when you are nice, the people will be nice to you too. It reciprocates, you know.
has your son ever taken interest in knowing your story?
Oh yes, yes. The truth of the matter is that my son, I never spoke to him like I speak to you now. He found out when I spoke in a school of my grandchildren. I have a grandson who is very much involved in it. And he arranged for his teacher to invite me to school, and my son was in the audience. And this is how he learned my story. But this later on, because I made very many interviews, and you have it all on recorded, and my son has all those records, you know. So whenever he feels like this, they had a exchange student from Germany. Must have been about 10, 15 years ago, and she came to my son and sister in daughter-in-law, and she stayed with him. She knew nothing about the Holocaust, absolutely nothing. She came from Stuttgart. Well, now they teach them, but when she came, she knew absolutely nothing. So what did my son do? He put in one of my tapes and let her listen to it, and then she got the feeling, you know, what was going on. And she in turn, when she came to Germany, she brought it up in school. And maybe I don't know, she was the one who decided it, but she was one who brought it up, that we should learn about it, what had happened. So this is how, and since, it must be maybe 30 years already that I speak about it, because up till then I could not even speak about it. I never told my son or my family about my experiences. I just couldn't talk about it. I think I mentioned it to you then. There was a professor in Northwestern University for the first time who said that the Holocaust didn't happen. And they had a panel here in Baltimore. They approached me to be on that panel on television to talk about my experiences, because he said, if you won't tell them, who will tell them the truth? So of course I declined. I'm going to go. So my husband thought, you should go. Because indeed, if you won't tell them the truth, they're bound to believe whatever they read. And it didn't happen. So I said, but I'll be crying. And this says, never mind, you'll be crying, it's okay. And he persuaded me, and they were after me from the Jewish Council. So I went, and this is how I started. After that, you know, it was the university in Yale had made some records of the survivors, so I had an interview with them. And then a whole year long, I keep on talking about it. Now I talk about it very, very often. Those little, actually the smallest one that I talked was the 6th grade. And then the universities, to schools, to colleges, to private homes, to churches, to synagogues, anybody who wants to hear, and I have the time, I will do it. I feel that this is my reason for survival. I often ask myself, of all my siblings, I was the most spoiled one, and really, how could I survive? If you would ask my parents, you think who has a chance? They would never say that I would have the chance. I was spoiled, I was a brat. You know, all my siblings were so old, they were playing with me like a doll. One time they broke my arm or something, I don't remember it, I was told. And I survived. And all those heroes, my sister, my brothers, nobody survived, just me. Maybe that was my destiny. So I could come and talk about it. Maybe they would be able to talk. And I am. I got into it and I talk about it. And I bring the truth to people. And maybe in a small measure, unfortunately, it looks like in a very small measure, we can avoid this repetition of those times. But when you look around the globe now, what happens in Africa, in India, in the Near East, it's hard to believe that things will get better. But we have to. We have to fight for it, so you'll have a better world to live in than I had.
How was your relationships with the other survivors?
Religiously?
Anything. Do you keep in
Well,
touch with
as
them?
I told you, I never blamed God for it.
No,
Never.
I'm talking about the their survivors, like the other.
Many survivors still believed in God, yes.
Oh,
You had read Elie Wiesel, and you read his books, and when his father died, he said, where was God? And he started believing. But after a while, he had a family, he had a son, and he returned back to religion.
Did you mean like social relationships?
Yeah. Did you keep in touch with anyone?
Oh yes, I kept in touch with the girls as long as they were around. My camp sister, she left for Germany before I did, and we corresponded constantly. And then she came to Canada, and she got married and changed her name again. And I changed my name, so we lost contact. But to Israel, to the one girl who went to Israel, also it was with us. Through her, she found out through the organization of concentration camp survivors in Israel. She found out my name and got in touch with me, and she came to my son's wedding. I went to her daughter's weddings. Oh yes, and then in Israel too, we kept in touch constantly with the people.
I think that's.
And right now, the survivors are just like family. We don't have family, so all the survivors are friends. You see that all our friends are survivors, but it's like family to us, Unfortunately, they're getting older and dying off. But this is life, what can you say? But we are just feel like family, because none of us has much family, If you have a friend who has 2 sisters and a brother survived, and this is one in thousands that have that many siblings that survived, The majority is just single people. Of course, now they build families, they have children. But single survivors, very few had siblings or parents, forget it, unless as they were in hiding. So some of them, my husband, my brother-in-law, my sister, they were in hiding. So they survived. Or the partisans, you just didn't see the film that was made for Brother Bielski's, names is terrible with me. Defiance. So you have an occasion to see the film. I happen to know them because people who were in his camp lived in Baltimore. They came to see them, and we invited them over, so I happen to know them. But it's very, very, it's very truthfully done, and it's another episode in survival of the Jews. They had. I will not going to tell you. Go see it.
The painting that you received, that
Yes.
was in your bedroom. What does that symbolize for you?
Well, this is Akko in Israel, and I told you he lived in Israel, and this is when he did it. When he came back to Germany, he mailed it to me. So it's a double meaning to me. It's something that was in Israel. It's something that Busa did, and it's very sentimental to me. Very sentimental, and that's why I gave him a prominent place over my head.
Very good. I think that's it for me. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes. Me too. We have so many questions.
It's okay.
Um,
Take advantage.
can you tell us a little more about your 2 trips back to Poland?
When you went back
The what?
When you went back to Poland
Yes.
to visit?
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, okay. As I say, the first time I went to Poland, I wanted to Białystok. I went to Warsaw and to the concentration camps, and then I went to Białystok. I wanted to show my husband, at the time was my husband, where I lived and all that. So the streets still existed, at Nowy Świat in Lucka still existed at the time. But of course, the city had changed completely. Białystok had, as I told you in the beginning, 100,000 population before the war. Now when I came, it's a 300,000 population. Not one Jew, not one. There were some, of course, that emigrated. But so the city had changed completely. However, this big synagogue, the synagogue was on Nowy Świat, was still and the building still existed. My house did not, but this building still existed. It was empty, but it still existed. And then I wanted to take them to the school that I went to. And the building still existed. It was Virki Viguru was the street. And so I showed it to them. And of course we went to the cemetery. The old cemetery still existed. And there I looked up the grave of my grandmother. She was buried. So that was still, what shall I say, I still saw something of my past there. Now the second time when I went,
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
by the way, the first time when we went, I stayed with a Polish family because the daughter of that family had hidden a Jew and married him, and they lived in Baltimore. So when I went to Poland, she gave me the address of her brothers and sister that lived in Białystok. And I went and I stayed with them. They opened their house for me and my husband at the time. And they told also I wanted to go to the cemetery that was in the ghetto. But now you couldn't recognize anything where the ghetto was, where the cemetery was. Żabia ulica, Żabia was the cemetery. And there, they also buried a little nephew of mine who died in ghetto. He died in ghetto. He was my youngest brother who never returned when he was drafted in the army, and I told you all about it. So the little baby died in ghetto, and we buried him on the cemetery. And I wanted to go see the grave, but I couldn't find it. So these people that I stayed with, brother, sister of the woman that was here married to a Jew, she survived because of her. She kept him and they got married. And she was a classmate of mine in public school. You know, it's all went together. And she, as I said, I stayed with her family. They were very, very hospitable to us. And she told me that I saw the grave of the little nephew of mine. And also, I saw that the grave, when I went, the grave of the man that, remember I told you, was hung because he was accused of throwing acid in the face of the German. So they had a big, a big stone made in his memory there. So I saw that. As I said, the cemetery that was in ghetto still existed. That was in 79 we went the first time back to Poland. So the cemetery still existed. And then the second time I went with my son, my nephew, my sister-in-law. And the first time we went to Poland, I think I told you about it with my husband, because my husband's family was not taken to concentration camps. They were taken evidently to Treblinka and annihilated. But he never knew about the concentration camps. So, but the whole city was destroyed and taken to Treblinka, so he wanted to see where it was. Treblinka was an annihilation camp. Nobody survived it.
They're saying it was dead.
Yeah.
What's dying?
Why?
The battery's running.
I don't know.
So
It said it was fully charged. Whatever, go on. Sorry.
Treblinka has big stones and little stones surrounding it. The big stones are for the big cities, and the little stones are the little towns that surround it. So we went there and saw the big stone from Białystok and the little stone from Brańsk. There was a little town that my husband came from. And it was
Brański?
Brańsk, B-R-A-N-S-K, S-K, Brańsk. So we went there. It was a cold weather winter. And we went to Auschwitz. And I didn't want to go into Auschwitz. My husband wanted to go in because family was destroyed there too. And I just didn't feel like going in. So the guide said to me, why don't you go in and take a picture you walking out of Auschwitz on the railroad tracks. And they persuaded me, I went in, and indeed I got a picture coming out of Auschwitz. He took me on the tower that was watching the camps. And he told me one of the fields, the blocks that were there was still existing, still does now too. So we took a tour there. And it was still, at that time, in 79, they still had the big blocks of cement with the numbers of how many Jews perished, how many non-Jews perished, how many gypsies perished, and so forth and so on. And they had little stores that you could take memorabilia from Auschwitz. When I went in 1989 with my son already, my son must be later than 1990, my husband died, must have been in the 90s already. I went with my son, my nephew, and my sister-in-law, and we went to Poland again.
This is the third trip?
Second.
This is the second trip.
The second trip, yeah. And then we went again, we went to Treblinka, we went to Auschwitz, came back to Auschwitz, you had to pay for parking. There was coffee house stores in Auschwitz, and you had to pay for the memorabilia that you want to take. And there was not a sign of how many Jews perished, and not a sign how many non-Jews perished. Nothing was almost erased. So I went into the office, and I asked them, why did you take off the numbers? Because they weren't accurate. That was the answer. And here, of course, they saw all this tremendous rooms with the hair and shoes, and children's shoes, and it was just one big horrible thing to see. And but bothered me most Auschwitz. People come to see where the dear ones had perished. They have to pay for it, to pay for parking in Auschwitz. So we went. Okay, that second time when we went to another camp. Treblinka, went to all those camps, and then we went to Majdanek. That's in Poland, near the city of Lublin. And this camp is the most impressive as far as I'm concerned, because Auschwitz became a museum. I didn't feel the second time that I am in Auschwitz. It's a museum, nothing. But in Majdanek, you feel that you are in a concentration camp. First of all, because they have, everything is open, you can see all the shoes and the hair and the clothing and the suitcases and the, when you break everything, you would go on
Crutches.
Where do you go?
Crutches.
On crutches, yeah, on crutches and musical instruments. Everything was open. You could really see it. And top of it was where the crematorium was. There are still ashes in that oven, in that crematorium. There's a big mountain of ashes where the ashes were collected from the people that perished. And when you are there, I had the impression that any minute the column of the inmates will be walking in. That's how much I felt in Majdanek that I'm really in a concentration camp. Not in Auschwitz, not in Treblinka. It looks like a cemetery. Treblinka looks like a cemetery. The big stones, the small stones, many candles lit, But Treblinka, if you ever have a chance to go to Poland, go no place else but Treblinka, and you'll have the feeling what a concentration camp is. That was the second time in Treblinka. And then from there, we wanted to have a good impression of our trip. So we went to Prague, and there my sister-in-law, in Poland, we went to the little town of Gdańsk, where she comes from. And I asked, there was a drugstore, and I asked her to give me a bottle of water. I don't know if she did it on purpose or not, but she gave me a bottle of turpentine. But we took it as water, as white water. We came to Prague and put it in the refrigerator. In the hotel was a little refrigerator, put the water in the refrigerator. My sister wanted to drink, so she took out the bottle and drank it. While she was drinking, she didn't realize that she's drinking turpentine, not water. But then when she swallowed, she felt it, she started vomiting. And she took very sick. You can imagine. We took her to a hospital. In Prague, hospital in Prague or in Hungary, I don't know. Hungary was yes, no, Prague, it was in Prague. In Prague, Budapest. So they took her to the hospital, and nobody spoke English in that hospital. They spoke German, a little bit of Russian. They were very reluctant to speaking Russian, but a little German and Hungarian. Hungarian, it's a horrible language. So I talked to them in German. Anyway, they took her in and they start, instead of just pumping out her stomach, they put a big pipe in her mouth. It was a terrible experience for her. But a big pipe, and a wide one, and she was choking on it. It was screaming. It was a terrible experience. But that was happened when we went to Prague. And then, no, that was in Hungary. I'm sorry, it wasn't in Prague, it was Hungary. Prague was good. We went to Hungary. And there was Budapest, that was by Hungary. And they didn't speak anything English, forget it, but even Russian they didn't want to speak, so German. They talked with them in German. And she was very sick. And then we came to the United States, and we told them that this was a stupid thing, pump up your stomach, she would be okay, but... And the nurses came in with cigarettes, smoking cigarettes into the hospital, you know. The attending to the... It's just a terrible disappointment it was. Terrible disappointment. But there we saw the first renewed synagogue that Tony Curtis, he was from Hungary. Tony Curtis, the actor, do you remember him? You know him? Well, anyway, so he played Houdini. Do you remember anything? Anyway, so he was a Hungarian and his parents perished. So he built a synagogue, the old synagogue, and it was in memory of his parents, so we saw them. It was a beautiful city. It's Budapest, especially Pest. It's just pieces, the Danube goes through it. So one is Budan, this is Pest. Pest is a beautiful city.
Did you see any signs of Jewish life when you went back to Poland?
I'll tell you what I did see. It was already 80, don't forget it was already 79 the first time and 89 the second time. And yet, when we wanted to take a walk around the European, the most famous hotel there, they told us not to go out in the evening in the streets.
Because you were Jews?
Yes.
What year is this?
It was dangerous for a Jew to walk out at night near the hotel.
In which year?
Poland.
What year?
89.
In 89?
Yes. And then we went also to the synagogue there. And we were there at this holiday, Sukkot. And this holiday we went to Poland. And we wanted to go to the cemetery and it was closed. Because of the holiday, the cemetery was closed. So that just occurred to me that we were there Sukkot time. This time of the year we were in Poland for the second time. And there was, the cemetery still exists in Warsaw. And the synagogue, there's some Jews in Warsaw. There are some Jews in Warsaw. I had found out there that one of my classmates, he lives in Poland. He succeeded to go to Russia to start college. But when the war broke out, he remained there. And after the liberation, he came back to Poland and settled in Warsaw, and married and had children. And when I talked to him, to another one who gave me his name, he says, my children don't know that I'm Jewish. 3 sons, they don't know that I'm Jewish. That's why he didn't want me to come to the house. So this is the atmosphere, you know. There was 2.5 million Jews in Poland. I don't know if there are 10,000 now. I doubt it. And if they are so old Jews, they couldn't travel anymore, you know. And the young people, as I said, they don't know that they're Jews. I had another friend that was a history professor in Poland, and he changed his name to, that sounds Polish, but he remained in Poland. And yet, there were Poles who risked their life to save some Jews. So again, you cannot hate it. And a whole nation, it's impossible.
I also wanted to ask you about Israel.
Mhm.
I know you traveled to Israel.
Yes, several times.
Can you tell
2
us
years
about
ago was my last trip to Israel. It is a beautiful country. And you know, it pains you when you see the border. You don't need the border. You see this side is Israel, this side is Palestine. And you see the tremendous difference. Everything is blooming and expanding, and everything is building. And here's that. It's terrible. They could learn so much. I mean, Israel exists 60 years and Palestine exists 60 years. And what have they accomplished besides killing and shooting? And a terrible situation there. Even when Israel left Gaza, a few years ago, what did they do with all the buildings and all the vineyards and all the gardens? They destroyed it. Why? Take it, it's there. Use it. Okay, I might understand they destroyed synagogues, I can understand that. But houses, vineyards, gardens, plantations, everything was destroyed. Why? Why did they destroy things that they could use and have a use of it? Can answer those questions ever.
Did you have questions? Yeah, I had a couple. One, just like details. When you came into the United States, where did you guys come through?
Hello? Yes?
I think this thing must have
I know,
been
you
on
were,
the iPod.
you were dumb to
I
call
haven't used
Melvin.
it.
There was
2
one
days
thing.
ago, I charged it full.
I can't plug it.
But what would Melvin do?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
honey, I'm busy. I
Well,
have some
because that's where
interviewers
you
here.
plug the charger into.
Okay, will you call?
Yeah.
Okay, darling,
Unless there's
thank
a
you.
thing on there, is there?
That's my beloved nephew.
Oh.
But it ran the whole time the first time.
Anyway.
Did you wanted to ask something?
Yes, okay. I was going to ask, when you came into the United States, you and your husband, he was your husband then, where did you come into the United States? What
To
port?
Brooklyn, New
To
York.
Brooklyn.
His aunt lived in Brooklyn, New York. It was a little apartment. I was very impressed with it because I haven't seen an apartment for so many years. The kitchen was all white, and she had you covered the floors, and on the floors were covers, and on the covers were covers, and on the covers was paper. The elderly people, they had no children. And then she had a drawer with so many things that she found on the street. She collected it all. It was all collected. It was funny, I says, in America you have to collect all this junk. It was junk. No, she found it, slotted it. So he was very odd in the beginning, But then I met my own aunt, which was she was very progressive. She wasn't much younger than my husband's aunt, but she was a progressive person. But the only thing that she could never forgive the United States was that she never became a citizen. And she came here in 1905. And she never became a citizen. She could never leave America. Well, she could leave, but she could never return. And she wanted so much to go to Israel to see her only brother. But she could never do it because she wouldn't return to America. So this she couldn't forgive America.
What was the experience? You came in on boat.
Yes, oh yes.
So what was the experience of
I'll
seeing
tell you what the
it
experience was. Everybody was vomiting.
Oh, you were seasick.
The boat was called General Bridgeford. They took it out of the mothballs and gave it to the refugees to come to, It was a terrible boat. But the only one who was good there was I. We had my little nephew who was 3 years old. And he was this one that just called me, he was so sick, my sister didn't come out of the bed, she was down there, she wouldn't come up, she just was afraid to go up. She still is afraid to go on a boat by her. And she was so sick, and I carried him around with a lemon in my hand, the baby, it was just unbelievable. People were so sick, I wasn't sick, I couldn't eat much there either, because when we went down to eat, it was shaking unbelievably. And then the first time I see that white bread. What kind of a bread is that? It was just like cotton. It was funny. It was also an experience. But we saw the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Everybody went on the deck. Everybody sick and well, everybody was on deck. It was quite an experience. And another thing, when you came here, people, the refugees, nobody spoke English. I was the one who spoke English. So everybody approached me to help them at the control, So what do I have in there? What did the people bring with them? Pots and pans and bedding, It was just something unbelievable. But then we had the cousins came, my husband's family, cousins came, the aunt came to the port to take us in. They had to show that we will not be a burden to the government, So she had she had three rooms. One was the eating room and two bedrooms. One bedroom she rented out to a boarder. And all of us slept in the living room and into the bed. Oh God, was that an experience too. But it was just me and my husband. My sister-in-law and her husband and the baby went to her aunt. She had an aunt. But I, my brother, and my husband lived there. That was made us buy anything to get out of Brooklyn, you know. And for some funny things, I saw the streets. One was Uta Street, let's say, or New Jersey Street. I was sure that those streets take you there. That's why they're named that way. I said, we go with New Jersey Street, you come to New Jersey. Go with Uta Street, you come to Utah. That was my understanding of the names. Funny. Something
Like
funny,
that.
but that's how I understood, you know. Why is it called that way? Because they take you there, that's why.
Makes sense.
And my aunt, my husband's aunt and uncle couldn't explain much either, you know. As little funny things we had. But we met some people there, and then my husband and my sister-in-law and my brother met the other lady who was in hiding with them. She came earlier, she came in 1947. From Germany, the people came from 1947 already. From Austria, it started in 49, so we came a bit late.
I have, I think, yeah, just one more question, I think. So I'm a little bit of a helpless romantic, and so I need to know the story of your husband when you first met him. How did you decide, what happened? What's the story?
I didn't decide, they decided for me.
Oh, they decided.
The first question was, my sister was already married, and she helped me do something. But I worked in a government place. I told you about it, that I was pregnant and so. So she said, "Would you like to be my sister-in-law?" Just like that. And I had a boyfriend. But my boyfriend at the time was in the army, and he was in Warsaw. He was in the army, a soldier in the army.
Wait, how did you meet that boyfriend?
That boy, he was in Bialystok, stationed in Bialystok first. And through friends, I suppose, we met them, you know. I met him too, and he was
What was his name? I'm sorry.
Genek.
Genek?
Yeah. And it's another thing. Well, I walk in the streets in Bialystok with him, and I said, my God, if my parents would see that their daughter is going out with a soldier, it would be a terrible thing. And that was the understanding before the war. You didn't associate with soldiers. And he was a captain in the army, a very handsome guy. And when I met my husband, when I moved in there with my husband, I sort of forgot about him, you know, because he was stationed already in Warsaw. A mutual friend, and I mean, the people around us knew that something will become of me and my husband, you know. So the people around us said, you know, he's coming to kill you. He has a gun because he was in the army. He said that he's coming to kill you because you are leaving him, that you are going with somebody else, you know. And he did come. But we had a partnership business there. And I was at the partner's house at the time doing some bookkeeping. And my sister came to the house and says, don't go home. Janek is there. And he'll kill you. The mutual friends of ours that were riding back and forth, smuggling a lot, you know, in the beginning. Said, when I met him, he's coming to kill you. So don't go home. So anyway, he didn't kill me, obviously. And then he landed in Israel. And when he had a sister, I think lived in Israel, so he quit the army and he landed in Israel. And when I came to Israel, mutual friends of ours who were there too already asked me whether I want to meet him. I said, no, I don't want to meet him. Forget it. I want to leave. I don't want to meet him.
So you just said yes when your
Well, it wasn't so fast, not so fast.
No, you had to decide.
But they decided to go to Germany, I mean, to Austria, Germany, to leave Poland. And so my husband sat down with me, and I was working in an office. And I had a very nice job. I got 2 dinners. I told you about it, yes. And I had to, they provided me with coal to heat the house and even tickets to get to some clothes. I had a very nice job. And even tickets to the theater from work. So my husband came and said, sit down with me, and he says to me, you know, we are going to Germany. And I don't want to take you unless you marry me. So I wanted to leave Poland as well, you know. And I had some feelings for him, you know. He was so good to me right after, I told you the food and everything else. So I said, I'll think about it. Then my sister-in-law came and says, you want to be my sister-in-law? So they pressed me from all sides, and my brother, they were very, very nice to me, very nice, a beautiful family. So I said yes, and that's how we got married. There was 300 Jews in Bialystok when I got married. All 300 were at my wedding. All 300 were there.
Sounds like all the men probably were sad that you were getting married.
Yeah.
They all wanted you.
Well, we became very close with one another, not having family, you know, so that was it.
So I have to ask now, do you have a boyfriend now?
Yes.
I'm not surprised.
No. My daughter-in-law said, my husband died in 1990, so it was 10 years. It was 10 years, and I was going to Florida. We had a place in Florida, so every winter I was going to Florida. And my daughter-in-law says to me, my goodness, you're taking advantage of the men. I says, yes, I do. So what? It's going to be they want my company, so they have to pay for it. What was the pay? They drove. In Florida, when you come, the first question you go out to the man, do you drive at night? That was the first question. Because many elderly people don't drive at night. But those men drove. So I had one in Florida, I had one in the town, and a third one came along, whose wife was in the concentration camp. So I had 3. So I had to choose from one to the other, whatever I wanted to do. I never
At
got
the
close.
same time?
Yeah. When I was in Florida, I had a Floridian. I was here, I had this one and that one, but I never came too close, you know. But they're friends, and my sister, my daughter used to say, you are taking advantage of them. I said, yes, I do. So what? They want my company, so this is it.
Do you have any advice for us about men?
Yes, don't give your heart away right away. Play it cool. And play the field a little bit, because when you like now, at 8 and 20, you might not like at 30. So you have to give yourself time. It's very important. Don't jump into bed right away. Oh, I said.
That's okay.
We're not offended, it's okay.
Now it's not taboo anymore, my goodness. Not the way I grew up, you know.
Yeah.
If you let that boy kiss you, there was a big progress.
It's a different time. And now you have one boyfriend?
Yes, because you know why? The 2 of them died.
Well,
That's a boyfriend, that's just a friend, you know.
Yeah.
He keeps calling, you know, and I go to visit him. He's in a assisted living now. And as I said, this is the one that his wife was with me in camp. So a little mutual understanding we have here. But and you know what? I don't miss it. I keep busy and I don't miss it.
Trying to think if there's anything else.
But anything at my list?
No.
I'm still here, and I hope that I'll die in that house. Not so fast, but I probably will. So if you have any questions after you go home and digest it, and you have some questions, don't hesitate. Call me. You have my phone number, call me. Okay?
Thank you
I
so
love your
much.
eyes.
Yeah.
Very well. I want to thank you that you really take an interest And are you going to deliver it? How will it work later on? You'll talk about it.
Mhm.
So,
Each of us creates a story out of your
yeah,
stories.
you play me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've been to the Shabbat dinner
Oh,
before.
yes, yes.
And you'll come this year.
Of course I will.
Have to.
Right? Anyhow, come. I sure will. I want to know what I sound like, you know. But it's very important for you to talk about, not only in school, but your parents and friends, you know, so people won't forget.
Oh, that's what we all talk about. I'm always.
That's all we talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Good. It's very nice. I salute you for it, because how long will I be here, you know, to tell you? So you are the ones who have to carry on. You have to talk about it. And maybe in a small way we can make it a better world, you know, more understanding amongst people. And show them that it's so easy to be good. I keep on talking to my children when they grew up. They were little, now they don't listen to me, but when they were little, I used to tell them, it's so nice to be good and so good to be nice. And I live by that, I really do. And it's easy, it's really very easy. If you heard me mad, you're always aggravated. You aggravate yourself. But we always have a smile on your face, people will smile back.
I like that.
I'm so grateful to you, I really am.
No,
No
we're
matter how
we're
much
the
it takes
ones-
out
We're the
there.
ones who are
But I'm
grateful.
grateful that you want to know and that you want to do about it, talk about it, that it's something that there's no price for it. There's no price for it.
We were actually wondering if we could take some pictures of
course
us
we-
together.
yeah.
And
Oh,
also
yeah.
All of us.
Mhm.
Good, yes,
Also-
and I'll get one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Of course.
And also of the photos that you showed us of yourself.
Do you mind if
before
we
the
take a
war.
picture of your
Which-
pictures?
The old pictures.
The old ones?
And then also, what was it that you said you had?
The
Scissors.
The scissors, right? We want
Oh,
to see
the
the
scissors.
scissors.
And the
You don't
fork
forget anything, do you?
No.
Should I